Oh, that cracks me up. All right. Let's kick this pig. One, two.
It's time for BGFG.
Gonads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done. Great. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremont.
Oh, yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Duncan and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now, the guys that went on a beer run 2 years ago.
Definitely get lost sometimes. How are you doing? I am Chris Phoenix, and this is BGFG, episode 334, which we've pretty much called at this point later than Bill Gates erasing his browser history, because my shit's late. I can't even lie. Yeah, we're gonna throw that explicit content right away at the beginning. Car broke down. The other car broke down. Computer broke down. So it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Got it all fixed. Didn't even get a chance to contact Mr. Fremo Z because I just figured I just wanted to get it out there as soon as possible and try to do another one for Saturday to Monday. But yeah, it's been a long couple of weeks, so I apologize for being late. And I don't know what else to say. Carol Baskin's husband is underneath her septic tank. I got to get some Carol Baskin shit in there. So it's some of this news is going to seem a little old, and I apologize for that. I'm still going to throw my take out on it, and again, I apologize. It's just a little late. It's not that bad. It's just a little late. Somebody in the chat's asking me about the shirt. That's the Alderaan Star Wars shirt, where Alderaan got destroyed. So there's that. So there's a lot of news, a lot of announcements, kind of like thrown all over the place. Because the past couple of weeks, while I was putting together the show and dealing with a bunch of other stuff, there was some things that I wanted to bring forward, but there wasn't any cohesive pattern to what I was putting the show together. Where I usually try to put something together like that. This time it was a lot of stuff that was just being thrown at people. Like recently, after I wrote the show out. CDC just announced, a few hours ago, CDC announced that you didn't have to wear masks if you were fully vaccinated. Great, but I'm pretty confident that's just going to be normal now. The first couple of weeks, you'll have people asking, "Can I see your vaccination card?" And you see the 2 hits on it, and you're like, "All right, cool. You don't have to wear a mask." Then you're going to have people that are just going to not even bother looking at it anymore. Well, okay, we don't have to wear masks, and they must be vaccinated. Then you're going to have people arguing about being harassed because they're not wearing masks. I got to go every store I go in. They're asking me if I have a mask on or not, or if I have my vaccination card. Yeah, we kind of do. And then you get people like myself. I haven't gotten vaccinated yet because, I want to say because of my wife. It's not my wife's fault. My wife has to wait to get hers for multiple health reasons. So I wanted to, be a good guy and wait for her. I have no absolute need for it. And we'll get into stuff in the news today about why that's kind of important. Speaking of which, let's get into the news and we'll just get that jump started.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up in this week's news, it's look, let me just get this out of the way. Derek Chauvin was found guilty along with 3 other officers. Things are still progressing on that. And again, like Malcolm X said, let's not hope that it's just that this trial and this verdict wasn't just to appease the masses, that there's actually going to be change. I mean, that's what we all want. We all want to see change in this. That's just the way it should be. But I don't want to dwell on it because it causes a lot of problems with people, and people argue about this, that, and the other thing. And I really don't have time to argue about it. The bottom line is the police officer was determined to be found guilty. 3 other officers also were. Let's move on. For multiple reasons. I'm not saying the problem needs to go away. And I'm not saying white privilege or anything. No. I'm saying that's guilty. Let's move on to the next problem. Okay? And for this show, let's just move on to the next piece of news. So the next piece of news we're going to talk about this week, like I was talking about earlier with the whole issue with the vaccination and such. You're going to get ridiculed. It's going to happen. I can just see it happening now. People are going to ridicule me for not being. I'm going to wear my mask. And again, because we're wearing masks, that's a good thing. Now we're going to not wear masks. But wearing the masks have been good. According to the World Health Organization, the flu is apparently gone.
Bullshit.
So, yes, this is like a duh moment, and I got to explain it to all the sheeple out there. Yes, we were all in fucking quarantine, okay? It's a pandemic, okay? We were all in quarantine, and then when we were out of quarantine, everybody wore masks. 98% of the population wore masks. So, of course, the flu is gone. The flu is easily spreadable. Pretty much everybody gets it every year. You get the flu shot, which is last year's flu, which brings up a whole nother problem. 18 months of lockdown, I'm pretty sure that would eradicate the flu and the common cold for that matter. I mean, nobody's getting the common cold. I don't know, health organization. Do you think that maybe that was it? Maybe everybody being in quarantine helped with that? The real question really is what's going to happen next year. The Mayo Clinic said that there's no flu circulating now. So next year when you go to get a vaccine for, say, the flu, what are you going to get a vaccine from? The flu 2 years ago? Because usually it's last year's flu. And again, we've gone on the show, myself and Fremo have both stated about how the flu vaccine is kind of bullshit. It really is. You don't get flu this year. Good. Next year I'm going to get a shot. Okay, next year you get the shot. They're injecting you with last year's flu for the most part. I know there's medical reasons or medical explanations, but it's pretty much the flu from last year so that you're prevented against that. But every single year there's a flu version B or the next version that it mutates every fucking year. So why are you bothering getting the flu shot? It makes no sense to me. If you're elderly or you have an immune compromised situation, yes, absolutely get the flu shot. You want to be as safe as humanly possible. If you're elderly or in a nursing home, absolutely, that shit can kill you. When something can kill you, you really should get it. If it counts on you taking a couple of days out of work and sitting at home and watching some TV, blowing your nose and feeling like shit, then guess what? You can deal with that. Take the 3 days. I know I would. Honestly. I mean, my wife will tell you, I guess most women will tell you that every guy is a baby when they have the flu. But the bottom line is that when you have the flu, I don't necessarily mind it because I'll be able to sit at home and I don't know, catch up on some TV shows, catch up on a movie. I don't know, catch up on stuff and rest. I'm going 24/7. It's the same thing when your wife and stuff. When your wife or your girlfriend gets sick, guys, please take it from me. Just please drop what the you're doing and go take care of them. Wait on them hand and foot. You know why? Because they deserve it. 9 times out of 10 in most households, mine included, my wife, I work very hard to make sure that my wife is a stay-at-home wife. Or a stay-at-home mom, I should say. And she handles business in this house. She handles everything. She deals with schooling, doctors, kids, appointments, shit, even mine, if I don't have a chance to make one. She handles all that shit. So it's not just a Mother's Day, and I hate that, by the way. Mother's Day just passed, and like everybody makes a big deal about it, and people go running around the day before and try to buy shit for Mother's Day. You guys are a bunch of asses. Plain and simple. If you're not thanking your wife or your mother on a daily basis, you're a piece of crap. Seriously. They do more than anybody else. They handle more shit. How many moms and how many wives get the flu? And instead of staying in bed for 3 days, they're in bed for 6 months, 6 hours. They're sleeping in that morning. They really feel like crap. And then they get up and they go. And they do the shit that they have to do. And they look like shit doing, hey, honey, why don't you go lay down? Hey, honey, I can't. I got to do this. I can't. I got to do that. Well, part of that is because you don't lift a hand at all during the rest of the year. You don't wash clothes. You don't wash dishes. You don't do any of that shit, so they got to do it. Stop it. Just stop the insanity. It's equal parts, man. I know you work hard, dude. But when you come home and you see shit in the wash in the sink, put it in the dishwasher or wash it by hand. We wash it by hand here. So we get into a habit every once in a while, and sometimes we slip up, but we get into a habit a lot of times of when you're done with your own plate, wash your shit. It's a fork in a bowl or a spoon in a bowl or a fork in a plate. Wash your own shit. It's just that simple. Saves the wife / the mom a whole lot of time. It just, sorry, didn't mean to go on that rant. But the flu is apparently eradicated. It could be a problem when people don't become immune to it, because it could be another issue where if you don't get the shot and the flu does continuously just not really reappear next year, it's quite possible that it could be eradicated. But the bottom line or the long tail of that is if it does come back, it's going to be worse because nobody's going to be immune to it. So it's kind of, it's kind of tough. You don't want to miss work. Look, with the flu or COVID, you don't want to miss work. Like I was saying with the moms that get the flu, you naturally don't want to miss work unless, because you need the money, unless you work at Apple, because Apple just reported their second quarter results. And let me tell you something. Apple is not hurting for money at all, even a little. They had a revenue of $89 billion. 89, that was up 54% from last year. 54%. Mostly because of the pandemic and people were buying computers left and right. And they really were. And a lot of people jumped onto the bandwagon. Apple wasn't a slouch either. They released a lot of new cool products, which we'll get to at the end of the show, that led up to what the newest announcements were. But they were able to drop $23 billion back to their shareholders. That's a big amount of money, man. That's pretty big. I mean, it must be nice. You know what's not nice is how Roku and YouTube / Google are handling shit. So if you have a Roku player, and a lot of people do, Roku has just announced to their users via email that YouTube TV might be forced off of its platform, alleging anti-competitive demands from Google. Now, from what I've read, they wanted preferred treatment of all Google-based apps. So any Google-based app or Google-owned property that has an app that's on Roku, they wanted preferred treatment. They wanted to do things like favor Google and YouTube in the search results over all other apps that might be on there, which I think is kind of bullshit. Excuse me, I had to cough there. But give Roku their credit. They're not asking for more money. They're just asking for better terms of the contract. Google basically wants you to Google basically wants you to block search results from other providers. And that's wrong. That's anti-competitive. That's just bad in many ways. Now, Roku, from my research, Roku has done this before. Roku has said this before. I want to say HBO. I don't remember really. It was so long ago that we did it. But they like to do this. This is a thing Roku does. When they feel that they're being pushed up against the wall, they hit social media and say a bunch of stuff that's very general that the public takes and twists. So is Google and YouTube want them to block search results from other providers? I don't know. Do they want to be the preferred one or the first tier ones? Yeah, that's most likely going to happen. But for the most part, they really don't. They don't do that. I just can't. I can't get behind that. I really can't. Uh, uh, no, I can't. I can't get behind that. I just think that it's going to be an argument that they're going to have with each other, and I think that's cool. Competitive competition is great, but I think we're really on the cusp or on the ledge of having to deal with another cable provider. So here's a quick example, and I'll just make this quick so we can get into this week's music. If you're a cord cutter, it was great at first. You cut the cord to cable. You bought an antenna for your TV. You got all the local stations, and then you popped on Netflix or Hulu. But shit's changed now. There's a lot there. I mean, I alone have Hulu for TV shows and stuff like that. I have Netflix for movies. I have HBO Max for John Oliver, and they do have a good amount of offerings in there, just really obscure stuff, surprisingly. I have Disney Plus, of course, because it's Star Wars. It's freaking awesome. We have Peacock now instead of WWE Network because WWE Network is now on Peacock, which, by the way, WWE Network, you suck now, okay? All the old stuff that my wife and I used to watch, all the stuff we grew up on is freaking gone, and that's shitty. That's bad on you. But we have the Peacock app now, so we can actually watch the wrestling that we do watch, and it has a few other stations that are pretty good. We pay for that. We pay for Motor Trend. I love car shows. I watch them often. But I think we're going to get rid of that one. And we have Amazon Prime, which, of course, we have the Amazon Prime app, which is one of the favorite apps that I have. My wife does not like it. I love it because it has just an unbelievable amount of shitty B and C movies. It's awful, and it's awful good. It's so bad it's good. But with that said, we have all of these different features. Google's trying to make it, and we have YouTube TV for our local stations. All of these companies are trying to be the best, but cutting the cord, we're kind of paying the same amount, if not more. I mean, we can cancel and add things as we see fit, and we probably will, but unfortunately, there's other people that live in this house. And most households are going to deal with that. It's not just you and your significant other or you by yourself. It's you, your significant other, kids, roommates, whatever you have. So you can't really get rid of everything all the time. You kind of have to deal with what people are dealing with or what people want to watch. And that's difficult. You end up spending as much as you did with cable. So I don't know where this is going to pan out with Google and YouTube and Roku and the different choices that you have. You have an Apple TV, you have a Roku, you have a Fire Stick, you have and just about every smart TV now. So it's going to be very difficult, and I'm waiting to see one. Fremo and I were talking about this on a phone call the other day when I was driving home from work. We're waiting for that program that comes out that's going to have all of these subscriptions built in at a discount. So say if it's $10 a month for a specific app that you like, it might be $8 because it's through one centralized app. Let's say At Home. That was an old product, but let's say At Home, the @home. That's your new app that covers all your watching and television needs. You pay them instead. You pay them $8. You have a rental fee of the whole service itself for whatever it is. But part of that cost continues to rise, and you get a discount if you subscribe within their service. They'll get a kickback. That's what I see coming. It's going to be like a new television station. And that's what it's coming down to. People are so bitching and whining about changes, and this is gone and that's gone, and things aren't going to be the same. Yeah, the pandemic did that, and all throughout life, things happen like this that make people change and make people rethink things and makes our society move forward into a different direction, which is a good direction most of the time. So this is changing the way people read media. The pandemic and people being indoors changed the way people look at health and look at eating and nutrition and exercising. this changes people and it changes the society as a whole. It's not necessarily a bad thing. And a lot of times you can do the same thing that Generation Xers do, like myself and Fremo, just keep your head down and just move forward. That will really help out a lot. Just watch, step back, like we tell you here on this show. Step back, watch it happen. You're not going to be able to control it. The boomers are still out there making the rules. We're trying to just keep our heads above water, but keep our heads down so we don't get them shut off. And then you have the generations behind us that are just trying to change the world. Hey, look, buddy, we were there. We were there, and we tried it, and it kind of worked, but not really. So you guys go on. You just keep on keeping on with your non-gender specific, non-working gig work, non-buying cars. I don't know. They got 15 million excuses for everything. All right, enough of that bullshit. Let's get into this week's music. I need another cup of coffee. So this week's music is from a local band. I love this. I finally found a good new local band. I love when I find that. This one's out of Boston, Massachusetts. This is Roll Over White, and the song is called Head Down. We'll catch you on the other side for some gaming news and Apple's announcements. Oh, it's a great song. That really is. And I love the fact, like I said before, that's from a local band, for the most part, local band, uh, out of Boston, Massachusetts. They sound good. I like it. As everybody knows on this show, I am a sucker for female singers in a rock band. I really am. I love it. I just love it. I should shut up now. I'm just embarrassing myself. All right, let's get into this week's stick style, and we'll see what's good with that.
Gaming.
So this just in, as always, we like to do in the first part of the Stick Style Show. Don't forget to catch us on Twitch, Stick Style Show. Come watch us, come jump in the chat room, and our Discord channel. I'm hoping by the other side of this weekend, I said that before, but everything broke. The other side of this weekend, our Discord channel should be working a lot better, I hope. Where you can find our game of the month. You can find, I can tell you right now, the game of the month for the rest of this month, for me anyway, is going to be Mass Effect, because Mass Effect just dropped, and it's freaking awesome. I can't wait to sit on it tomorrow. I have a day off tomorrow. I already cleared my schedule, and I plan on just playing the crap out of Mass Effect. So the first thing we do in Stick Style every week is we like to talk about these shortages. And let me tell you, yet again, you're not getting shit, because the shortage is real. TSMC, which is the company that makes the foundation of about 57% of all chips, had their earnings call. Now, people don't realize that a lot of times the core basis of these chips are made for multiple things. It's not just AMD, NVIDIA. It's also Intel. It's car manufacturers, the chips that are in your cars, in newer cars. It's those. It's washing machines, dryers. I mean, these chips are pretty much everywhere. If you go to TSMC's website, you can see all the manufacturers that they work with. It's a friggin' problem, people. They said that even if all the funding from all the government was to be pushed right now, there's no way to ramp up production until at least 2022. You know, and then you're going to have such a explosion. People are going to be happy with what they have. They're going to be, everything's going to kind of shake out. For instance, maybe 6 months ago, maybe about 3 months ago, you started seeing the last of the 2080 or the 20 series cards kind of going off the shelf and going on eBay or going on Amazon or third-party retailers and being gone. I was lucky enough at the tail end of that to pick up a 2080 Ti in an Alienware computer that I got really lucky. I just saw it pop up like super quick on the interwebs, and it was somebody that just happened to finish their build and was fortunate enough at a Micro Center to get a 3080. So they just didn't need their computer anymore. They put it up, and then within an hour, I contacted them, and I got it. And I got it for good money. I basically got it for the same price you would pay for an actual 2080 Ti card now. Less than what you would pay for it now. Because once the 30 series, people realized that the 30 series just wasn't going anywhere. People that were waiting were able to pick up 2070s, 2070 Supers, 2080s, 2080 Ti's. They were able to pick those up, and they are good cards. All of Stick Style right now is, well, I shouldn't say all. I'd say 95% of Stick Style is pretty much through a 2080 Ti card, a single computer streaming and playing. This computer that I'm on now, the production computer that broke, has much bigger stuff in it. But the 2080 Ti does great. And you can't just, these aren't blow-up buildings, Biden. You know, it takes time to build this shit and then fab it. And it's not easy. So it looks like nobody's getting any new cards, just like Microsoft isn't going to get a chance to fuck up another company. As we've spoke about many a times, Microsoft is notorious for just destroying companies. They have more money than you can imagine. They make their money from behind-the-scenes shit. Like, you really don't understand how it's not just Windows. Like, when you go to the Best Buy or Target and you go, do I want Windows or do I want an Apple computer? It's not just that. Microsoft has single-handedly put their foot into everybody's pond. They are in the military. They are in the infrastructure of businesses. They are pretty much everywhere. And they make their money at that. And that's why they have so much stroke. And if somebody comes along that's better than what they're doing. For instance, a good example, not many people are using Teams unless they absolutely are forced to, but Discord is doing huge numbers. A little bit of polish on Discord. I mean, right now, Discord doesn't want to do that, but a little bit of polish on Discord, and that thing could be a very mainstream, viable platform for people. Microsoft wanted to buy it. But, I mean, Microsoft offered $12 billion for Discord. And Discord said, no, we're good. They thought about it for all of like 10, 15 minutes. They were like, no, we're good. We're just going to launch an IPO instead and get the IPO out there, which I think is great for their business. I think that's brilliant. Microsoft would have just ruined their platform anyway. But they are going to be heading to PlayStation, which I think is really cool. So I have to admit that going upstairs here at my home, I play on an Xbox One. Downstairs, I have the Series X, the new Series X. The Series X is really good at broadcasting, taking snapshots, and capturing stuff for online consumption from the game you're playing. The Xbox One, not so much. It's really kind of kludgy. PlayStation has always been very good at doing that, at sharing that information from, I want to say the tail end of PS3, but maybe not. Definitely PS4. And now you integrate Discord into it. I think that's going to be a home run for them. But it's tough to tell right now how the integration is going to go. It should be good, but it really depends on how they handle it and how the two companies can mesh within the system. I think it has a lot of potential to be able to hit that one share button and have something like a Discord pull up where you can actually run a video there or an audio chat or utilize that as your group chat. I think that's where it's going to go. But I look forward to seeing what happens. And just to make this clear, we were talking earlier about how you can't get a card. One of the other pieces of news that popped up this week that really genuinely pissed me off was that you can't get a card right now, a video card, anywhere. I mean, everybody's telling you that. If you go to eBay, the ones that are there are legitimately one of three things. Well, two things. They're either people that got these cards that went to go use them for mining, because apparently, according to the 20-somethings, this is the new age. I even had to talk my son down off the ledge of mining and NFTs and wasting his entire savings on it. But people are mining stuff. NVIDIA sent out, forced down an update to their cards, which stopped the mining process, which is great. But what I've noticed is that some people have used video cards, 3080s, 3090s, 3070s, on eBay, and they're used. They don't have a boxes anymore. And I'm assuming, I may be wrong, I'm assuming these are mining ones that they can't use for mining anymore, so they back down to their 10 series, possibly even a 20 series, to do mining with that, or their previous rig for mining. It's possible. The other thing is you're seeing new cards from scalpers that are on there, the 30 series cards, and they're all like $2-3 grand. That's insane. The 3090 retails for, I want to say, somewhere around $1,200. The 3080, which is the sweet spot, was $800-900. That's a lot of money, but that's a pretty good price for a card that you can keep for 5-6 years and still be at top of the food chain. It's a great card. I love AMD, but the 3090, the 3080, and even the 3070 are really, really good cards. What really pisses me off a lot is that NVIDIA just decided to announce their 3080 Ti. Again, great card, but why the would you do that? Why would you do that to people? That you know damn well that we can't get one. We can't get the cards that are available now. Why would you release the 3080 Ti possibly on May 26th? It's got 12 gigs RAM, which my Radeon 7 has, and I can tell you that it is great. It is phenomenal. My card works great. But you can expect this card to cost $1,200 or more. And let me tell you something. You're not going to get it. You're just not going to get it. You can sit at Micro Center and you can get in line, and that's fine. Go ahead, do it. I'll wait. Or you can have an alert somewhere or something like that. But the bottom line is you have a very slim chance of getting one. And if you do get one, great on you. I would expect and hope that you're the type of person that is getting it because you want it. not because you want to flip it. The price is probably going to start around $1,200, but that card, that 3080 Ti, I guarantee you when it hits the market, if a scalper gets it, it's going to go up for a minimum of $2,800 on eBay. Minimum. I'm seeing cards now, 3090s, 6900s. I'm seeing those go for like $2.5, $3,000. This is insane. It just doesn't make any sense to spend that kind of money when it balloons like that. Instead, spend your money on something just as wasteful as buying a GPU on Best Buy, on eBay, by getting yourself something like the Vortex Whirlwind. You know, this picture, if you're watching the video, the picture of it says it all. It's a beautiful looking box, but it is a box nonetheless. This little nugget of shit, again, I can't explain people. I don't understand it. We can't get video cards. The computer industry is kind of sucking. Retail industry is sucking. But we're going to do stupid shit like the Vortex Whirlwind FX. You couldn't come up with a better product. This analyzes the audio and video of your games to trigger physical effects. That's the quote from the... It also says in the quotes, it says, look, let me explain this to you. This is a box about, I'd say, 6 inches high. It's think of it like an Xbox Series X, just half the size. Same dimensions, but half the size. Shrink it down. With one, it looks like an old earpiece for a military field phone at the top, and on the bottom is a knob that's got RGB. It's basically a big-ass knob that you can turn for more vortex, more whirlwind. It's an environmental simulator. Just chew on that for a minute. It's an environmental simulator. I'm never going to tell you how much this costs because it's not worth a dime, but it's not cheap. And all you're going to do, this thing will work with your game to blow warm air on you. Let me just say it again. It blows warm air on you from whatever's going on in your environment. It's just dumb, and I want to say this to the person that created it. Douchebag. Because we don't have enough to worry about and waste our money on. Do you just think that we have like money to burn? Is that what the stimulus money was? Just money to burn? Because your quote, and I quote this from their website, wind whips across your face as you dive into a battle royale. Really? Do you really think I need a device on my desk that as I drop in on Fortnite or on PUBG or on Warzone, that I need a blast of air in my face? Really? Talk about senseless products. This is the dumbest dumb shit I've ever heard. Don't get it. But please feel free to look at it. Feel free to search it up. Vortex Whirlwind FX. It is a giant piece of turd. Last piece that we're going to talk about, and I might as well just put this in for what it's worth, so let's get that going. So in for what it's worth this week, we basically have the Apple announcement. Again, sorry I'm late, but this is the Apple announcement. Apple had a spring-loaded event, is what they called it. It's basically, it was a cool-looking logo, which I have on the YouTube channel. You'll see it if you watch the video. Let me just break down what they basically covered. Apple's got a big event, and I know if Fremo was here, he'd be bitching and moaning about it because it's an Apple event. Well, guess what? Microsoft really doesn't have events. You can talk about Microsoft breaking shit every Tuesday of the month, every first Tuesday of the month, because that just happened. Patch Tuesday came out. They immediately had to pull a piece from AMD because it's bricking people's computers that have an AMD chipset. Sorry, Microsoft. It's a fact, and you don't have any big announcements. Apple makes their announcements huge, and it's fun to watch. Google does it as well. AMD, NVIDIA do it. I enjoy these type of things. Most news people do. Let me break down the Apple announcements for you real quick. First thing we had to deal with was iOS 14.5, which is the newest operating system to go on the phones, the watches. And I have to say I am enjoying this from a retail and repair perspective because people are confused, rightfully so. But the long shot is, you heard about how Facebook was so scared of 14.5 coming out because it was going to block tracking. I got some news for you, Facebook. 95%. This is reports show. It stops first of all, it stops apps from tracking you. Okay. Now remember this: Facebook did say that it would crush their business if this actually happened, and they tried to stop it to happen. Well, it's already downloaded, it's already begun, and reports show that 95% of users have opted not to be tracked. Let me say that again. 95% of users have opted to not be tracked, including myself. And it is a heaven sent. Now, when you do get ads, because ads will still be generated, it doesn't stop ads, people. Please. Tell your friends and family. Another sheep will notice. Tell your friends and family it doesn't stop ads. It stops tracking you. Which means when you talk about canoes, you're not going to get canoe ads anymore. The downfall or the downside of this is that the ads that you do get are going to make no sense. They're just random ads. Just bullshit ads. When you watch a TV show, you sometimes see an ad for a disease, medicine for a disease you don't have. These are just ads that they feel is going to fit the demographic of that channel, of that time slot, of that TV show. That's all. So if you're a 20-something watching Golden Girls, yes, you're going to get adult diapers. Sorry, that's just the way the general ads work. This is what's going to happen on Facebook. Of course, they've already backpedaled and said that they're not experiencing as much problems as they thought. You're full of shit. It's the same thing that everything was going to happen. Nothing changed. You lost the same amount of revenue. You're working to try to fix it. Now that Apple said that it will be banning all the apps on their app store that actually pay people. So there's apps on the app store that will pay you to not turn on that block. If you leave it so that you can be tracked, they will pay you. I don't know how much it is because Apple's already pulled those apps, but I thought it was pretty funny that there's apps. I wonder who made those apps. I wonder who would have made an app that would pay you for not blocking the ads. I wonder. Google? No. Facebook? No, they would never do that. Come on, people, get your heads out of the friggin' sand, okay? It was obviously those companies that would do that. Come on. Don't be stupid. I taught you better. Fremont and I have taught you better listening to the show. You know, the question I do have about those apps, though, is how did that slip through the Apple apps processes? The approval department. How did that slip through? How did they get launched and then pulled? I kind of have a problem with. Moving on with what they released, they also did an upgrade. 14.5 did an upgrade to Apple Maps. Now, a lot of people complain about Apple Maps. I personally have never, ever, ever had an issue with Apple Maps. Not ever. I think they're extremely accurate. I think they're well done. They speak to you. They let you know that you're coming up on an exit. They don't just tell you, turn here. They tell you it's coming up. They tell you it's the next street. I think it's very, very good. And if you haven't tried Apple Maps and you have an Apple iPhone, try them. Give them a try again. I really like the way they're doing. And now in 14.5, they're going to add Waze-type features that let you report accidents, hazards, speed checks along your run. So, along your route, rather. All of this should work right through CarPlay, which, again, we've talked about here on the show before. If you have an Apple device, I implore you, spend the money and go buy yourself a new radio for your vehicle with CarPlay built in. You will thank me. Please, send me the emails thanking me. I'd love to hear it, and I talk about it on the show. CarPlay is a great piece of software for your car. It brings your phone right over to your car interface, and everything works exactly the way it should. It is brilliant. You should be using it. It's just that simple. So they're bringing up those Waze type features, which I think is going to be great. I haven't seen them actually work quite yet, but I'm looking forward to them working just to see what it's going to do when it comes to my area and the way I work. There's always a congestion or an accident in a certain area that I run to get to work, and I'm just curious to see how it's going to react to that. Next up will be the tile tracker. I mean, air tags. I get so confused. Tile's actually quite pissed about Apple, and rightfully so, but we'll get into that another time. AirTags came out. AirTags are great. They're $30 each. You can either get them standalone. They're like a button or a giant quarter, I guess you could say, a thick quarter. They have a replaceable battery in it. So picture a device that can hold a 3025 battery, one of those button batteries like you would have on a motherboard, or the big flat batteries that you've seen throughout your life. It basically holds one of those and is that size. Now, I think AirTags are brilliant for things like your luggage. Slap that on your luggage or put it inside your luggage. Don't put it on the outside. They make these leather attachments. Jeez, people, don't be so fucking stupid. If I'm going to steal your bag, that's the first shit I'm taking off of it, is the thing that you hung on the handle that tells me where it is. I'm going to simply cut it and leave it right where I took the bag from. So it can move down the conveyor and you can think everything's all hunky-dory, and meanwhile I'm leaving with your luggage. Smarten the fuck up, people. Really, smarten up. Put that shit in your bag, or put it in your kid's backpack, or put it wherever you want to. I've even seen cell phone cases now that have the attachment on the back, which I think is the dumbest shit I've seen, and whoever buys one is a moron, because you already have Find My built into your phone. So why you would need it on the app, I don't know. But they do have that sort of thing. It's got a replaceable battery, so that button battery that's in it is replaceable, which is great. But they're saying that it's going to get years and years of battery life. It's also a good way to track a loved one that maybe doesn't have an Apple phone, or shut off the Find My feature in their phone. So it's a good way to track a loved one and then get that divorce started that you wanted. That's the only way I can see it. It's just. Look, it's a good way to start a divorce, okay? When you have to track your loved one, and my wife and I had this argument when we first got together about tracking each other, and it's not that. It's just simply to know where you are. If for instance, she's got a friend that lives in this valley, and the valley's got no phone signal. So if I'm trying to get a hold of her for something possibly important, and I don't know where the hell she is, I can look at my Find My device and see where her device was last checked in. If I know it's on that street, then I know she's at her friend's house. She just can't get me. It's going to be sporadic when I do. So I'll send her a text, and hopefully it'll get through at some point so she can at least read it. But I know of people, and I deal with people at work all the time that are upset because their loved one is following them or their loved one's tracking them. You guys need to work on your fucking relationship, okay? You can't blame me. You can't blame Apple. Got to work on your relationship. I definitely have that shit on for the kids. I want to know where the hell they are. If my son, and I caught him the other day, was supposed to go 2 blocks over to the park, ended up going across town to the other park, which I'm fine with, but you should have told me that. But I looked at his, because I drove by. I went to go get a cigar at the local convenience store, and I drove by the park, and I'm like, there's nobody at the fucking park. Where the hell's my kid? I was a little concerned. So I hit up the Find My when I got to the store, and I'm like, that son of a bitch is over at Bears Hill. So I gave him some shit when he got home. Those are the good parts. At the same time, there's always going to be bad parts of the tracking and security features. It's just the way it's going to be. And I get with people when they say, see, it's a double-edged sword. I get people that say, well, you shouldn't worry if you don't have anything to hide. I feel that way. I don't have anything to hide from my wife. You can track my shit wherever you want. You should feel the same way. If I'm curious to see where you're at because you're not answering the phone, maybe you're at the dentist. And I can look and go, she's at the dentist. She can't answer. She's in the chair. Or something like that. That way I know. If I see your app tracker at the hospital, I'm going to be worried, At the same time, I can see the other side, where it's an intrusion. It's an invasion of privacy. They're always checking up on me. They're sending me little things. They can control my phone. No, they can't fucking control your phone, okay? They can just see where your phone's at. And AirTags work the same way. But, again, if you're that worried about what your spouse is seeing, maybe you should have a conversation and sit down with your spouse and get some things out in the open, because damn, man, you can't be living your life like that. You're living dirty, maybe. I don't know. But it sounds like you are. Next up that they announced was a new iPhone. Well, not really a new iPhone. It's the same iPhone as iPhone 12, but it's in purple, which is a very nice color purple. I really like it. It's a cool looking purple. I also want to say that for the people with lupus, it's a great idea to get that phone. Purple is the lupus color. Have at it. It's purple. That's really it. There's no other change in it than purple. And similar to the iPad Pro that they announced. Excuse me. The iPad Pro is another thing. So the iPad Pro is as thick as the iPad that I have right next to me with the Magic Keyboard. Brilliant. If you're into Apple products and you don't really need a MacBook Pro and you don't want the MacBook Air because it's too small or too lightweight or too less powered, I don't even know. But I think the iPad falls into that middle category somewhat because you can use it as an iPad and then you can put it in what I feel, even though it's an expensive keyboard, it's like $300. It's an awesome keyboard. It locks it in magnetically. It has a great keyboard, great feel. The trackpad is phenomenal. It's well done. Now they released, and I don't know why. I'm an Apple fanboy. They released the iPad Pro. It's an iPad. It's got the M1 processor. You can get 16 gigs of RAM, and you can get it with up to 2 terabytes of hard drive space. Yeah, that's great. That's more than you can get in a MacBook Air, I believe, and about the same you can get in a MacBook Pro. The difference being is that you have the touchscreen, you have the iOS ecosystem or interface, as opposed to a full-blown computer. So I don't know if that's where they're going with this. But if you take that 16 gigs of RAM, M1 processor, 2 terabytes of storage, add the keyboard, it's a great keyboard. You definitely should if you're going to go this route. You're still looking at a $2,500 iPad. That's a really, really good MacBook Pro. So I don't know why they would do that. It really bothers. I need to take a drink. My throat's killing me. Oh, so sorry about that. Jeez. But the last thing up that Apple announced, and I think it was a great little piece. It's nice to see this. Us older Mac Pros are waiting for the black MacBook. Every once in a while, Apple releases a black MacBook Pro or a black MacBook. I'm looking forward to that. It hasn't happened yet. But what they did do was they created iMacs. Came out a new iMac. Now, the new iMac is legitimately the same thickness as an iPad Pro. And I think that's what happened here was it seems to me like somebody said in the R&D said, oh, that iPad Pro is pretty badass. How big can you make that? Can you make that into a 24-inch, 27-inch? What are you doing? Can you do that? Can it scale? Because if it can scale, that's easy for them. You don't have to worry about engineering much. Just bigger, So the new iMac is going to be rocking at the M1 chip. Again, phenomenal. I have one in the Mac Mini. I have one in... I don't think this Mac... No, this iPad does not. But the Mac Mini I have on the other side of the room for editing is without a doubt just blazingly fast. It is stupid fast, that M1 chip. It's pretty much double the speed of the Intel products that they had. It's the same width as the iPad Pro, but they now come in colors. Yes, colors like the old Bondi blue ones, the older iMacs, the teardrop ones. Very similar to that, they come in colors. So for $12.99, you can get a blue, green, pink, or silver one. But then for the bonus price of $1,500, you can get any one of those colors. But you can also, in the $1,500 price range, you have the ability to get a yellow, an orange, or a purple one. They're very pretty colors. If you're very color-centric and you want to get something in the color, they're very nice. They're very cool. And what I think is also cool is that they offer a keyboard with it. So you get the Magic Keyboard, which I have on the production one. I mean, on the editing Mac Mini. It's a great keyboard. It's a really, really good wireless keyboard. Good button. It's got good keys. This new one is going to be color matched to your iMac, and you have a thumbprint reader on the corner of it, which is also nice for security purposes. And just to touch upon the security purposes, your watch now can unlock your devices. If you have your watch on and you're nearby and you're still wearing your mask, I think it's a little late for that issue, but your phone and your iPad will unlock as long as it senses you are nearby with the watch. Security-wise, I don't know, because if I'm not looking at my iPad and it's 2 feet away from me, my watch can still sense it, and somebody can just open up my iPad. So I don't know, but I do like the idea that there's a thumbprint reader on your device now. I haven't been a fan of the biometrics. I appreciate the people that do use them. They're very easy to use. I just think a password's better in the long term. Well, that's it for this week. Don't have a whole lot else to talk about, and I also just keep watching for Discord. Keep catching us on YouTube and on Twitch for Stick Style. When we do reviews on BGFG, we usually put those up on YouTube. It's rare that we put them on Twitch, though we could. Still have a lot of reviews to do. Again, everything was crazy. Now everything's getting calming back down, so I can get back to some of these things. But that is it for this week. Maybe Freeman will be around next week. That's it for this week. 10's down. Show's over.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.